the thinking is, right, he's going to come in here. Okay, all golfers are under pressure in majors, but like nothing to the degree that McIlroy had leading up to Augusta last month. The monkey is off the back. The pressure is off. And will he just go out and shoot the lights out here?
Hello and welcome back to the Countersport Golf Podcast. Kevin and I have managed to swindle another one of these as we get talking about our favourite sport in the best time of the year for golf. It's nice and sunny outside for everybody. Kevin, how you doing? Is the weather nice where you are?
The weather is absolutely lovely. It's almost so nice that you could say being stuck on a call talking about the PGA Championship coming up this weekend is a waste of the sunshine, but it couldn't be.
It can't be.
It's the second major of the year, and we all know how much fun we had with the first one.
It could have gone worse, the first major. I think that's fair to say for all of us. The weather, you could describe it as prime golf weather, so we won't spend too much time talking about it as we'd rather be playing it. But we'll get straight into it. I'm going to talk about one name because he's probably the main reason everybody's tuned in, and that's a certain Masters champion, Grand Slam champion. It's Rory McIlroy.
Sorry, can you repeat that for
me? Do you want me to say that again? Grand Slam champion, finally, after so long, coming into the second major of the year, as you mentioned. Rory McIlroy is once again one of the favourites for this tournament, Kevin. I know you could spend a whole podcast talking about Rory. But do you think he can go again? Do you think he's still got that motivation now after he's pretty much completed golf?
So it's funny. The motivation is the funny part, right? Isn't it? Because like the monkey on the back has been replaced with a lovely green jacket as of about 5 weeks ago. And the thinking is, right, he's going to come in here. All golfers are under pressure in majors, but like nothing to the degree that McIlroy had leading up to Augusta last month. The monkey is off the back. The pressure is off. And will he just go out and shoot the lights out here? On the other hand, this course is basically his backyard.
Yeah.
He's won 4 times on it. He has set the course record twice, once in 2010 and then again in 2015. He's obviously won the PGA here before. And so you're thinking like, okay, well, if he doesn't finish at least top, obviously it's not. So, I mean, this is the thing, and we talked about this at the time, like, right, so you have, right, he's gotten the big one. The big one is out of the way, the Masters. Now you're coming into Quail Hollow, which he loves, which Jordan Spieth referred to the other week as Rory McIlroy Country Club. So everyone else knows. Then you have the US Open is at Oakmont. Is it at Oakmont? Let me just double check while we scramble around. It is at Oakmont. I was right.
So you should have backed yourself.
But then obviously the Open is at Portrush. Now, I think he'll be under more pressure at Portrush because he obviously missed the cut the last time, which was a disaster. It's basically his home cut. And look, there's half a chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen. There's half a chance he goes into that major in Portrush looking to create the calendar Grand Slam. I mean, which sounds ludicrous, and it probably, let's be realistic, it probably is. But going into this weekend, at the PGA at Quail Hollow, I mean, it's set up perfectly for him. You have to admit now, if he hadn't won at Augusta and then was coming in here and didn't win here, it would have been like, right, well, something's really wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that this is his course is huge, and I suppose you can't really sniff at the fact that he's done it now. He has done it.
Yep.
He's done the Grand Slam. He's finally won the Masters. Like 15 years, not say 15 years, 11 years after. It felt like 15
It felt
years.
like 15,
Just watching the Sunday felt like 15 years. So 11 years after he won his last, and it's set up for him to go on a run. It really is. It really is. I know the statistics. You tend to win less after you hit your mid-30s. He's 36 now. But, I mean, if you look at someone like Phil, who basically won the majority of his majors. So we'll see. We'll see. But if you were him and you're coming into the next major after the roller coaster and eventual high of Augusta, I don't think you could have picked a better place for this to be.
It is sort of all set up for him to continue his momentum, if you like, following that Masters. And as much as I would love to see a calendar Grand Slam, we may be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
We may be just a bit.
That's what we do at the Countersport. We get way ahead of ourselves, and then it bites us. But it's all part of the fun. Rory has a pretty tough first group pairing for him on the first day. He's got Xander Schauffele, the defending champion, and a little-known golfer, world number one, Scotty Scheffler, playing alongside him. So that could either work to his advantage and he'll want to go out straight away and sort of prove he is who he is after winning that Masters, or, we've seen it before when people get paired with these elite golfers, it sort of zaps all your confidence after a few bad shots. But if there's any golfer that's full of confidence right now, I think it's Rory McIlroy. I think that's pretty safe to say. Before we get on to some more golfers in the field, it's not really news anymore, but I've got to mention him anyway because it's golf. Tiger Woods is once again absent from another major. He won't be there because of injury again. He did play in 2023, but he's not played there in 2 years now, so it's not looking likely we'll see him in a major this calendar year, which is unfortunate. But injuries, they happen to everybody, and unfortunately for Tiger, they seem to be catching up with him now at a rapid rate. We'll move on to the rest of the field now, and we've mentioned a certain world number one a couple of times now. Scotty Scheffler looked disappointed, I think is a nice way of putting it, to give Rory the green jacket like a month ago now. Bloody hell, that's flown by, isn't it? Over a month ago now. But he said he was happy for his friend. Do you reckon he'll come out the gates now and really want to put one back on Rory and win this PGA Championship at his backyard, as all the other golfers like to put it?
Yeah. Look, Scotty's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, he finished fourth at the Masters, and yet it felt like he was never really going to make a push, and he was maybe slightly out of form coming in, and it just wasn't. It just didn't feel as though he was a major threat, which is insane to think about it. It's also insane to think that he hasn't won a major since the Masters last year. A drought, a historic drought for Scotty Scheffler. I don't know if you were keeping an eye on Scotty's last outing on the PGA Tour, where he won the, wait for it, here's the title, the CJ Cup Bryson Nelson in Vegas, I believe. Do you know what his final score was?
I if I hadn't just looked it up, I would never have guessed a total of minus 31.
Minus 31.
Wow.
Like, that is including an 8 under par on the final round. Now, let the runner-up finish -23. So
Yeah.
it's let's just say maybe the course management wasn't the
I think
best
I'd
from
have
the
got a birdie
organized.
on that course.
Yeah. So look, I was reading some stuff. Do you know Scotty Scheffler has never played a PGA Tour event at Quail Hollow?
That's a stat. Wow.
He played a President's Cup match in 2022, but has never actually played a PGA tournament event at Quail Hollow. So this is kind of his
I
first
was gonna
time.
say, what better way to win it than your first
Exactly,
time?
right. And look, let's just say for Scotty's sake, let's hope his preparations for this US PGA tournament go slightly better than getting arrested before his second
Yes.
round tee time at Valhalla last year.
Always a positive.
Yeah. I just reminded that like that was insane. I look, if we don't condone or encourage gambling on this sporting podcast, but I would say it's a safe bet to put some money down on Scotty Scheffler not getting arrested this time.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, look, I think we were sort of talking before we hit record, and there were three main names, and we'll get on to the third one soon enough. And it's McIlroy, Scotty. Obviously, he's still the best player in the world. I think,
no doubt.
when everyone's at their best, Scheffler is still the best player in the world. Again, he's not flashy. He's not like there's no real element, I feel, of like the spectacular or madness that
He
we
just gets
see
the
from
job
some.
done. He just,
He's
he's solid, very solid.
he's just. You're right. It's just right. I have a job to do. I'm gonna go out here and do it with the most minimal of fuss as possible. And again, like I said, the first major of the year, he finished fourth in the Masters, and we still weren't really. It wasn't really a talking point. I think he's really gunning for this, and it will be interesting to see in that first group, like what a first group, himself, Rory, and Xander Schauffele. Now I know Schauffele has been injured and been out of form, but he is, like you said, he is the defending champion. So I think from Thursday, which this will go out on the Thursday, we'll see. I mean, if Rory and Scotty just come out all guns blazing, they may not.
Yeah.
They may be with each other for the whole weekend. You know what I mean?
That's not
The
strange to say.
sick of the sight of each other. But yeah, I know we've bigged up McIlroy there, but for me, and I think again, without encouraging gambling, I think Scotty is the bookies' favourites, slightly ahead of McIlroy, and yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be at all surprised to see him win this, not at a canter, but pulling away.
Yeah. Well, not like we said, we don't condone it, but I did get the odds up just to sort of see what the field was looking like, and Scotty
of course,
and Rory.
If any gambling company is listening and wants to,
oh yeah, Scotty and Rory are pretty close in terms of odds, and then you've got who we're going to get onto in a second as the maybe third favourite, Bryson DeChambeau, a bit of a way off for a third place, and then the rest of the field is so far behind Bryson. You've got the likes of Ludwig Aberg, defending champion, Xander Schauffele, John Rahm, because obviously all the live golfers get to play in these majors. You've got my outside pick, who I won't reveal yet. You have to wait around to see that one. Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas.
Tease in the industry.
Exactly. Joaquin Niemann, who seems to be finding some form again after a pretty poor last couple of years. I think that's fair to say, given how much promise he showed early on in his career.
I feel like there was a lot of talk around Neiman coming into the Masters, but I feel like that was a lot from the sort of live side. It's like, well, this is our fella. Watch out. Watch out for Joaquin Niemann, and he just didn't do anything.
Nothing happened really. Yeah, which happens in golf. It could happen to Scotty or Rory. Tomorrow. So I guess we'll see. But like I mentioned, the third person, the third favourite, if you like, that we're going to talk about was my pick for Masters Glory until he decided it would make a good YouTube video for Rory to win it. That's Bryson DeChambeau. He looked really on it for the majority of that Masters, and then the final round sort of just unravelled a little bit, I think, as the pressure sort of got to him. He'd not really been in that position before. We've seen it before with plenty of golfers over the years, Molinari, McIlroy, God forbid I mentioned some of his collapses at Augusta, and the pressure sort of just gets to them in a sense. But he's shrugged that off. I think a couple of weeks ago he drove the ball 400 yards, over 400 yards at a live tournament in Mexico, which is
Nonsense.
I know it was to do with altitude and stuff like that, but still to drive the ball 400 yards is
it's nonsense.
Mental. But I don't think that'll be getting repeated this time out, but you never know with Bryson. Yeah. Anything can happen with him, and yeah, he's sort of, it sounds weird to say, the outside favourite, the third favourite, if you like. Can he just get over that hurdle and win that major championship that he's been craving for so long? Because he's been on a drought as well.
Well, no, he won the US Open last year. Do you remember?
Yeah, it's a year drought, you know. You want to be...
Look, obviously you mentioned Augusta. He was in that final pairing with McIlroy, and look, pressure is right. You know, it really got to him, and he did collapse. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. He collapsed. But to be fair, I mean, nobody was talking to him on that final round. Like, Rory wasn't talking to him.
It is
so
tough.
How was he supposed? Sorry, I'd get the dig in early, and now let's say some positive stuff about Bryson. Okay. Yes, he is in with a definite shout. We talked about Quail Hollow suiting McIlroy, which also translates to suiting Bryson. Yeah. This is a long course, and it has, I saw, was it Paul McGinley, I think, was saying basically they put high trees on all the corners. So if you can get the ball high and far, you will be able to take out those corners from the tee, which Rory and Bryson can do. It's also, I don't know if you've seen the weather forecast this week, unlike this part of the world where it's been lovely, they've had a lot of rain, which means obviously it's not gonna travel that far on once it hits the deck. So the further you can get it off the tee, the better you are. And like you mentioned, I doubt he'll drive 400 yards again, but we know he can absolutely bomb it. And the thing, to be fair, that let him down at Augusta wasn't anything off the tee or around the grid. It was his irons. His iron play was really poor. So you'd have to admit the scientist, the self-named scientist, has gone back into the lab to try and fix whatever those issues were. So, and again, this course won't be as unforgiving as Augusta is. Augusta is obviously like the most unforgiving course on the tour, so you're not going to get as punished as much for. I mean, every mistake at this level is minuscule, and so yeah, of course he's in with the shout. Of course he's in with the shout. Like as I've outlined, he has the game for it. He's won a major in the last year, going head to head against McIlroy. So, you know, he's probably just a smidgen below Scotty and Rory for me. But if they don't win it, I mean, of course,
he's there.
He's what? He has last 9 majors. He's finished top 10 5 times, you know. And did he finish second at Valhalla last year behind Schauffele? Maybe, I can't remember. But again, he was in and around it. So yeah, of course he can. Of course he can. Whether he has recovered mentally, because we've seen it happen, like you've mentioned, one collapse can lead to just just being in your head. I mean, it happened to Rory for 11 years. So,
It happens. It does happen.
Yeah, it does happen. So yeah, of course, Bryson can win it. And I mean, it would be great. I don't think I don't think we'll be able to replicate the like sports theater of Sunday at Augusta. But if the three of them were sort of like if they were like in the last three groups on Sunday, how fun would that be? Like, it would be great. Because again, for me, I wouldn't be as nervous for Rory either. Because I'd look, I'm not going to hide my bias. I'm literally wearing an Ireland shirt at the moment. I would like him to win it, obviously, but it's not the like pacing up and down, standing up.
Now.
But
he's done.
Yeah, that was last month. We can sit down and watch this.
Chill. One. Yeah, it's fine. Well, we had a career Grand Slam last major, and there is actually somebody who can get a career Grand Slam this major.
You have robbed my fun outside pick. I can't believe you've done that to me.
I knew this was coming.
Go for it.
Jordan Spieth.
A
man who I think it's fair to say has been on the periphery of golf for a little while now, after his sort of really quick rise early on in his career. He sort of never really reached that level again, but slowly over the last couple of years in major tournaments, we've seen him creep into those top tens and sort of put himself in with a little bit of a shout when it comes to the weekend. And as I said, and I'm sure Kevin's going to get into a lot more detail, as it was his pick, he can join McIlroy, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Ben Hogan and Gene Sarazen as career Grand Slam winners if he wins this weekend, which we hadn't had one for ages, and to get two Grand Slam champions in one calendar year would be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like it's yeah, I mean, it would be amazing. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen, right? But like, what a storyline that would be. And I sort of, when Spieth first came onto the scene, I was like, ugh, he's a bit like he's a bit like Scotty Shep. He's very sort of just a bit robotronic and
business.
Busy.
Yeah.
And he hasn't won since 2017, when he won the Open. And like you said, can you even imagine if they were to be back-to-back Grand Slams? What a story that would be. Again, he doesn't hit the ball as far as some of these lads, so you do, when we talk about Quail Hollow and the challenges it presents, that's one for him that the others may not have. Again, the fact that he has kind of done a McIlroy in a weird sense, where he came out hot and then has gone on a bit of a cold streak. I mean, he has finished second in the PGA before, which obviously would have tied it up. But yeah, I think it was my sort of fun, no real logical explanation. Wouldn't it be hilarious to see? Because obviously I'm fairly certain one of the three lads we've talked about before will win it. So this was just my, why not? Why not Jordan? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, how cool would that be?
It would be great for as somebody who's experienced with getting this as a bit of flack on social media, it would be great to put in the documentary that's being made on.
Do you know what? This is a golf podcast, and I was wondering how quickly or how subtly you'd be able to throw in a Wrexham reference. Did you hear that they got promoted, by the way, Liam? I don't know if you missed that.
Yeah, it went under the radar a little bit, but
3 promotions in a row, is it?
It's not bad. Well, no, we're here to talk about golf, so let's get on with that.
Speaking of Hollywood endings,
I'm going to go with my fun pick now.
Okay.
Fairway Jesus, or as he's more commonly known, Tommy Fleetwood. again, he's another one of these players that is sort of always there but never
Mm,
gets over the line, and he's not been as successful as maybe some of the other players we've talked about in his career, but he has the game, I think, to really challenge for a lot of these major championships. Like he doesn't
mm,
hit the ball as far as maybe a DeChambeau or a McIlroy, and he might not have the putting of some of these top end players, but what he can do, his game is very, very consistent um, across all aspects of it. And I made a joke of calling him Fairway Jesus, but his iron play is probably the
mm.
strongest part of his game. He's probably up there in terms of uh, on the tour. His iron play probably is maybe second to none. You could argue. So there's always a chance with Tommy Fleetwood, and with a course like this, like you mentioned, the conditions might come into effect. The dampness of the air could
Mm.
maybe negate some of the harder hitting players and maybe neutralize the field a little bit. And if you've got somebody technical in there who can sort of adapt to different conditions, like a Tommy Fleetwood and just Ludwig Aberg,
Mm.
Matsuyama, all these golfers who are really good in tough conditions, then he could be in with a shout come Sunday, and it really wouldn't surprise me. So yeah, but that's why we love golf. Anybody can win it. Anybody
Anybody
can
can
win
win
it.
it. I will throw in someone as well.
I did steal yours,
Justin.
so go ahead.
No, no,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm looking at JT. I'm looking at Justin Thomas.
yeah, I don't hate that.
Finished joint second last week. With Lowry behind Sepp Straka. Um, has won here before at Quail Hollow. He won back in 17, his first major, and he's won a PGA since then. So he only has two majors. They're both PGA championships. Um, Obviously slipped a bit in form over the last few years, but again, familiarity with this course. Had a good run last week. Yeah, I think he might be up there. Um, and but this is why it's so difficult, because as well the PGA prides itself on like having the best field of everyone. Your Masters, you have like your 107-year-old Bernhard Langers still
Yeah,
competing. Um, the Open, you've the sort of European Tour guys coming in. The US Open, you've amateurs and qualifiers and everyone coming into that. Whereas the PGA is right, and this is why they make an exception for the live guys.
yeah.
Basically, it's like, right, the best 100 players are in this, and that's why it's so difficult when you sort of get outside that sort of big three. Everyone, I
It's
feel, is
very,
similar.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
very
100%.
congested. So like I'm looking at Justin Thomas. You mentioned Tommy Fleetwood, but you're also, could Patrick Reed do something? He had a really good Masters.
Yeah.
Could Oberg finally get over the line, having been there or thereabouts? Could Shane Lowry potentially maybe?
Oh.
Sorry, but this is why it's very difficult to sort of to disseminate. I feel like between that big cluster behind the big boys. So it's basic. You could basically make an argument for about 15 fellas. You
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
genuinely could, which is a very stark contrast to the Masters, because you always sort of thought coming into it. I mean, maybe it's bias from us, but Rory,
Mm.
it was the best chance he had to win it.
Yeah, with the
You all,
form he was coming
yeah,
in. Yeah.
you always back Scotty, and there's
Mm.
always one outside
Justin
bet, and,
Rose.
so you can always bank on maybe
Mm.
a group of 3 or 4 or 5 to be in with the contention of the Masters. But when you get to a tournament like the PGA, like you said, it is just straight the 100 best golfers in the world competing for it. And even if Scotty and Rory are so far clear of the rest of them, conditions, mentality,
Yeah.
form, Rory, obviously he's in brilliant form, but he has had a few weeks off, rightly, to
Yeah.
celebrate
Yeah.
between tournaments, and so that could maybe. I don't expect it to, but it could play have an effect. And then you've just got the best of the rest, which is yet to be seen. But that's again, I could keep saying it. That's why we love golf, and that's why we keep forcing Darren to let us do these golf podcasts.
Look. We had so much fun on the last one, right? There's only 4 majors a year. We'll probably do a Ryder Cup one as well. That's only 5. Think of the amount of content. Oh God, I hate hearing myself say that. Think of the amount of content we put out, and only 5. Okay, 6 because we did a Rory reaction pod as well,
which we needed to do. That was necessary.
And also, if he wins on Sunday, you guarantee we're doing one on Monday. He's halfway there. In the grand scheme of things, it's but a drop in the ocean, really.
Exactly.
I'm just surprised we haven't done Liverpool are the greatest Premier League side of all time podcast yet.
That's coming as a YouTube video probably on the YouTube.
Is it? Yeah.
So check out for that one. Speaking of the YouTube, Darren is making a Newcastle transfer video on what they need to improve in the summer to carry on their momentum from their Carabao Cup win this season. So make sure to go check that out when it's released. It should be released in the next couple of days. We're not quite done yet because in countersport traditional fashion, I want to go with early predictions. We've said who we think's going to win, who should win, but who is your pick, Kevin? Who's your pick for the tournament?
We did this before the Masters as well, and I can't remember what I said.
Because we had a pick we felt was normal, and then we had a pick that was completely wild, and we have talked about them a bit in depth earlier in the podcast. But
okay, so do you want a serious and then a not so serious
one? Yeah,
Okay. Right. I want to say McIlroy.
I can see on your face you really want to say it.
I want to say Rory McIlroy. I really do. And unlike the Masters, logic is actually telling me to say this rather than my heart. Whereas in the Masters, it's literally the opposite. Scotty. I think. He's come into form. He's come into form. He's not as undercooked as he was. He shot minus 31 2 weeks ago. Scotty Scheffler.
I do agree with you. Logic does say Rory's not got a bad chance of winning this, and like you said at the Masters, I was very much no, come on, let's not be silly. But there is a genuine reason behind picking Rory, and like I said, Scotty, he looked a bit half baked at the Masters, and now he's really come into full flow just at the right time. But I'm going to pick Rory. Why not? Back to back. Like we've been saying throughout the whole podcast, it's a course set up for him. All the other golfers on the course know it's his backyard, as it's been labelled. He's got the momentum. He's got the freedom now, which I think is the big one. He said it's like a weight's been lifted off his shoulders, and you will see that in his play now. I think he'll play with a lot more confidence, and mistakes maybe won't get to him as much, and that's just great for a golfer to be able to play with that freedom. And if he does win, then a serious conversation has to happen.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Serious conversation.
Can you imagine? Like it was sort of what? But if he goes 2 for 2, it's
it could.
Is the pressure back on?
It's all back then. And then my wild card pick, I somehow avoided mentioning him in the podcast. I mentioned Tommy Fleetwood. We've mentioned Bryson. He's maybe not a wild card, but sort of is. Spieth. Brooks Koepka. He's not in great form, I will admit, but he can hit the ball. He can hit the ball very, very long. And maybe not a win, but I think he's certainly on for a top 20 top 15, because like we've been speaking for Rory, the course is sort of just there for him to attack it with his ball striking. His iron play might not be as good as others, his putting might not be as good as others, but he's going to get himself in those positions, and if he can take advantage of that, there's no reason why he can't be towards the top end of the leaderboard come Sunday. His fourth
PGA title.
He's a serial winner for one major.
This is the thing, right? I always forget how many majors he's won. He's won as many. He's won as many as McIlroy.
Yeah,
he's won 5.
He's a good player. He's a really good player.
He's a good
player.
Is a good golfer.
But it's an obvious thing to say, but I think people do sort of underestimate him a little bit, despite the fact he's won so many majors, because he's maybe not. Well, obviously he's gone to live and whatnot, but he sort of doesn't really show up consistently in a lot of majors. And then the PGA comes around, he's like, you know what? I fancy this one again. Yeah, I'll go for it on this one.
Okay, I'll go Spieth for my fun one, because what? Why not? Why not?
For another Grand Slam.
That would be the fun one. That's the storyline for the fun one. Would be quite fun. Yeah.
So all this means, because we've not picked him, it's going to be a Bryson DeChambeau win on Sunday. So there you go. You're welcome for that.
Yeah. Step forward, Wyndham Clark or one of these.
Patrick Cantlay, congratulations.
Yeah. Literally.
But like I keep saying, and you're probably bored of me saying it now, that's why we love golf. Not live golf, that's why we love golf. I don't want to get Rory on my bad side, but no, that's all we've got time for today. I think we are approaching half an hour, 35 minutes now, which is plenty of waffle and content, as Kevin likes to put it from us. This will be out on Spotify and all audio podcast platforms, as well as the YouTube channel. There'll be clips across social media, so if you want to go interact with them, leave comments, leave a like, tell us what we're doing well, tell us what we're not doing so well in constructive criticism. Check out Darren's YouTube video, which I'm sure will be out either today or tomorrow, on how Newcastle can continue their momentum from a pretty solid season this campaign. I'm sure we'll be back either on Monday after Rory's won, or for a different sport next week, either Monday or Tuesday. I've been Liam Grice, joined by Kevin Bannon. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.